relax and enjoy the show. Our number is 452-3094. That's 452-3094. Get you into the show right here on Sports Call. Whew, big weekend. Biggest weekend. I just think that the NCAA basketball tournament is the best ongoing event in sports. I really do. I think that starting last week, we had tons of games on. It was fun. And then the elimination the next 2 days, this is Thursday and Wednesday, Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday eliminates it now down to Sweet 16. This is where the cream will rise to the top.
That's right.
And it's going to get, before the game starts and before the complexion enters into whatever it's going to do in that particular game, it looks really good on paper. Very competitive on paper.
Yep.
Just take for example, the Tennessee Volunteers. They've been struggling. I don't know if they believe in themselves, but they're going to have to believe in themselves when they go up against Purdue, because Purdue means business. They're one of those teams out there in the Midwest that you don't pay much attention to throughout the season, because they don't have a lot of, it's not a sexy school. It doesn't get a lot of attention. When Gene Katie was the coach there, they did, because he was the best at getting attention. That was for sure. What a look he could give the officials and anybody he disagreed with. But he's been gone for quite a while now. But Purdue looks good, and they're seated just a point apart, a digit apart, each other going into this contest. So my good friend and yours here from the show, Snakeskin, I'm going to ask him a couple of questions here, because his guys, of course, Tennessee, he loves Tennessee. There's no doubt about it. He and Bill Cohen, the attorney, I think, are the two most dogmatic fans there. And I'm sure there's others that just don't know them. But I got to tell you, how do you think this contest is going to go when these two teams meet up, Purdue and the University of Tennessee?
I think it's going to be a close game. It's not going to be, anyone running away with the game. But, Tennessee's going to have to come out, and if they have any chance of winning the game, they're going to have to play 40 minutes, not 25 minutes, not 30 minutes, not 35 minutes, 40 minutes. If they don't, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, I concur. Purdue's a good school, but to me, I would think that all things being equal, Purdue would have a much stronger shelf life in a contest like this than Tennessee, because Tennessee is more of a school that gets attention, and that distracts. Whether you know it or not, it distracts. Whether it's the football program, whether it's where they're located on the geographical map, but Tennessee has that kind of, that power conference kind of authority. And Purdue is just another school in Indiana.
Yeah, well, according to the rankings and stuff like that, Tennessee's just another one of those schools.
Well, that's because the media doesn't like the SEC. Let's start with that, okay? They're jealous for the very reason I just mentioned. They get more face time. They get more news information in the way of their sport, whether it's football or any of the sports. The ladies' basketball, when they used to have a basketball team, it died when Pat Summitt died. And I'm not saying that in any way to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that Tennessee used to be a monster female basketball program. They just don't have it anymore. Why?
Their coach, I think she was an understudy of
she was. She stepped. She was on the path. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the feeder principle applies.
She's just.
She can't recruit like
exactly.
Pat Summitt. She can't do the things that Pat Summitt could do. She was one in a million.
That's right.
But wouldn't you think the person closest to him would have continued that growth, kind of like Pastner sitting alongside John Calipari here in Memphis with the Tigers men's program? No. So,
yeah,
I think you can keep your job longer if you're a female coach in basketball, because There's a lady today, I can't remember, Georgia Tech, I think. I didn't read the whole story. I just saw the caption that said that she's been fired or had to resign at Georgia Tech. I don't know what that was about, but my word, folks, she's been there 16 years. Now, what could she have done? And believe me, she would have gotten the benefit of the doubt because she is a female. You know all this stuff out in the air now, this hashtag Me Too, all that sort of stuff. So, man, oh, man. Thank you, Mr. Producer. He's handing me some important. Is this in the New Testament or the Old Testament? It's supposed to be the New Testament.
The NCAA Testament.
The Old Testament was last week, right. Anyway, before I get started on the brackets and talking about some of our favorite teams or teams that just interest you, but you don't know whether, whether you're excited about them or not, but we are kind of excited. I'd be interested to hear from anybody who would like to call in and tell me what did you think of some of the games last week. You know, we were talking about Tennessee, and Tennessee was putting some overtime on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Our good friend's alma mater who calls up every Thursday, and that's Matt Dean, who is the AD at Rhodes College. Just being able to work on that beautiful campus is worth something. But to have the title as the athletic director for the whole school, that's pretty solid. And we're privileged to have him. And he'll be with us tomorrow to bring us up to speed on pretty much what he thinks, what has happened, and maybe what's going on in areas we're not privy to. But he'll be here, like with the Grizzlies and things like that. Okay. So Tennessee had the Iowa Hawkeyes down by 25 points in the first half. All right, so this is how it worked for me. So I come home from church. Then the family, we all have dinner together. I walk into the man cave. I have the TV on, and there's Tennessee just putting some overtime on the Iowa Hawkeyes. And then this isn't even good fun to watch here. So I walked out. We had dinner with the kids, the grandkids, and all that good stuff. Then I go back and watch the second half, and I'll be doggone if the Vols aren't down by a point.
I know.
Or they were ahead by a point, one of the two. But that's too close with about 7 minutes to go in the game or whatever. I'm thinking to myself, what in the real world happened? They went to sleep. They played to not lose, to try to use the clock. They didn't dance, but who brung them? That was get out there and put your foot on their throats and keep it there, like Shane said a moment ago. Play for the whole 40 minutes. Heck, start playing in the locker room. Whatever you have to do to get motivated and stay that way until all zeros show up on a scoreboard.
Exactly, and they didn't do that. They had them down. They had their foot on their neck, and they took it off. And I've seen that happen. Oh,
it's happened a lot
times this year.
Yeah, and you've probably seen it 3 times the year before, and go on and on. I mean, the Grizzlies have done it. We've been up by 24 points and turn around and lose that game. And I'm thinking, how can this be? Because you think you've got it in the bag. Let them tell you, okay, you're running up the score. We should be so fortunate. Are you kidding me? We should be so good. Is I could run the score up on you on any given night or any team I want to.
That's right.
So dance with you. Who brung you? I mean, you just can't stop. And that's what happened. But these kids are still young. They look like young, strong, very mature men, but they're not. No, sir. They're not. And they're not when they get in the pros for a few years. Experience goes a long way, but you don't get that unless you have it. Huh? Well, you know what I mean. It's sort of like you have to earn where you go because there's time in learning. You begin to understand things better when you experience the same things over and over and over. Where the pitfalls are, what to avoid, what to take advantage of. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. So these are still young men with immature decision making. That happens. That's why you have to have a good, solid coach who can not be competing with the kids, but mentoring them, being their tutor, making sure that you're both on the same page. That's a big job for a coach because there's a lot of egos out there. And I say the egos, but their egos should come down a notch or more when they move to the next level because the same guys who are on the team with you, they were that good or better as good as you in high school. Is this making sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now we all start all over again, just like when you went to Heath, they went into that overtime. They hung on long enough, and was it you that told me about Admiral Schofield, who gave up his spot?
Yeah.
Because of guys who would probably play better than him in this situation, because he saw what was going on, and we were getting beaten in a situation where these other guys could stop that from happening, and he comes out of the game, gives up his time.
He gave up his position. The coach, Barnes wanted to put him back on the floor, and he seen something going that they needed length. They needed somebody to stop the Garza guy, and he was like, you know what? Keep Kyle Alexander in the game. We need that length. We need him. He's playing well right now. And he told him to keep him in the game, and he did.
And he did his job, didn't he?
He did. He came in.
You don't think this kid was pumped up, feeling like I've got a responsibility? I'm going to show them, this is where I can pedal my wares at the time where I can really, be of help to my team and teammates.
Yeah. He gave up his. He knew that there was something going on the floor that was.
They couldn't stop it. This guy could do it.
Exactly. They needed somebody on that guy for that moment, and that right there is a testament to me of the maturity of Tennessee.
All right, see there.
But
is Schofield a senior? Is he a senior?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go. There's 4 years he's played, and he sees things. The coaches are going to pull him because he's a lock-in, of course. But he saw it, and he said, "Wait a minute. I believe I can handle it, but I hadn't handled it so far. If I get a guy in here who's a few inches taller than me, it could thwart this guy slashing to the glass, getting points. We've got to stop that."
Yeah.
And that for him to see it, coaching may be in his future.
Yeah, he's seen it, and he set out, and they played the whole overtime period without him, and they pulled away.
That's fantastic.
They pulled away when they needed to, and I think that very easily, Bill, could have been that experience right there that could push Tennessee to even the Final Four.
Yeah, right. And we'll talk about that too as we get to it, because we're going to start talking about these teams and giving our fans or our listeners out there the opportunity to call in if they want to and tell us why, because I will tell you why I think these teams that are left are going to win pretty much, and why, and what's going to happen so they can win, or what might happen to cause some of the bigger teams that should win to lose. Okay, here's I was watching this game. It wasn't everybody. I don't know if you were or not. If you missed it, shame on you. But the Duke UCF game was about as good as it gets.
I did miss that one.
You missed it. You know what? You're fired.
I was watching another game.
You can't watch. You got to watch Zion Williamson.
No, I don't.
He is the player of the year. And then you got the big kid. What's his name? Fall. The big, tall 7'7" Nigerian. The center for Taco. Yeah, Taco. Thank you. What a game. And he comes out, and the moment he comes out of the game, they get the winning basket. Because it happened underneath, you see. And the guy got two bites of the apple instead of the one. They wouldn't even gotten the one because he'd have been in there and swooped that ball away. He was playing, and he did play an outstanding game. And his stock and his respect, my respect for him has gone up. Just as smart kid. He's an engineer kind of guy. So he's very smart. But if y'all didn't see that game, it was a terrific game. And I got to tell you one thing right now. People are going to start watching this Zion Williamson. This kid's the real deal. And when Coach K steps back and says, just let him play. I'm not even going to corral this guy. You know that he's got a lot of faith in him. Everybody else. And some of the irony of that, Shane, is so cool to me that one of the best. See, I've been around a long time. I've been through a lot of these situations. But to see Johnny Dawkins, the head coach of the UCF Golden Knights, he was one of my favorite players in college. And he played for Coach K. When Coach K first got there, that's how long ago it's been. But Coach K was his coach, and to see those two embrace after the game was just tremendous. I mean, Coach Krzyzewski just had a tremendous amount of respect for him, and Johnny Dawk has always been a pearl. He's been a treasure. And his sidekick at that same time was Tommy Amaker, and he's the coach and has been the head coach at Harvard for a lot of years. And he's been able to get Harvard into the big dance, not this year, but he has in the past. They don't last long, but they're so smart, these kids, and they just do fundamentals at a premium. That was like years and years ago, folks. You guys out there, the older guys, know what I'm talking about here is when Princeton almost upset Georgetown, and this was the year I think they won it all, in the first round. They were so good, they could do things. I mean, those guys were like a machine, the way they played offense. And they barely won. I think Patrick Ewing might have got the last basket underneath only because of he was so tall and the way that they just ended up being in that position. What I'm saying, guys, if you play the game right, if you play it fundamentally, with fundamental excellence, you're going to win. That's what happened when North Carolina in 1957 went up against the Big Dipper at Kansas, and they had Wilt Chamberlain, and they went into overtime, and those five little short guys were able to win that contest over arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. And you know I'm telling you the truth. But what did it? Al McGuire and his genius, Dean Smith and his genius, Jerry Tarkanian and his genius. There are others out there that have come and gone. Tremendous basketball coaches. Not counting the ones today. And when you think of the quintessential basketball coach, aside from John Wooden, who's been gone, folks, for a long time, it's got to be Coach K. Now, Roy Williams was a sidekick of Dean Smith for years. So he was the one to take his place. But before Dean ever retired, he got an opportunity to go out to Kansas. And he certainly made his mark there, but then he came home. Because Brad Daugherty, who was another good basketball player for the Tar Heels back in that time, just happened to be moving perfect for him. Yeah. You know? I think he was at Notre Dame a little bit before that, but he couldn't get the winning formula going at North Carolina. And North Carolina, was one of the greatest, and still one of the greatest NCAA Division I basketball organizations ever. Ever. They'll win here and there, but consistently you'll always see them. Always see them in the tournament. Was it last year or the year before they won it all? So, I'm not a big fan of Roy Williams, but somehow he gets it done. Yeah. Feigning spells and all, if you know what I mean.
He's, he of college basketball. Okay, you remember, when Lionel Hollins was here in Memphis,
right?
He was kind of like, of him. Okay, well, what I'm trying to say is between him and Coach K, he's the hard-nosed coach that goes out and gets that grit and grind type player,
right?
And Coach K's the type, he goes out and gets that finesse player. And, like Zion Williamson, he's kind of, he's hard-nosed, but that's his size.
Let me tell you why. So you're seeing that now, and I kind of agree with you on the finesse because of, because these guys are going to be with him 3 or 4 years. Most of them, the outstanding ones, become bench coaches.
Yeah. And
then they go on to greater glory, like Chris Collins. His dad was a basketball phenom, played in that... In that 1972, I think, Olympics against the Russians, when they cheated us, these guys refused to take the stage. They knew they had won that game. They held the clock, and the official didn't start the clock. And then The time should have run out, and they wanted Russia to score so they could knock us down. I mean, that's when the fake news really started, right about there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where it became obvious to everybody. Doug Collins, out of the University of Illinois, guy could play basketball, everybody. He could play. And then he went on to coach, and then he's now in broadcasting, but he's iconic. And his son, Chris, went to Duke, was an outstanding player. You know, when you can say, Dad, let's go out back and shoot some hoops, and you got one of the best to ever teach you the coaching side of it, and if you got the ability to play, and Chris did. But now he's coaching somewhere, and all these guys go on to coach somewhere. Wojciechowski, I think that's how he says his name. I can't remember where he is, but he's coaching, and his team is. He was a little blonde who was all over the court back in the 90s. I'm trying to think of someone else, or the early 2000s. There was someone else I had in mind that I was going to use as a comparison. I want to go back, though. I'm going to digress a minute and go back to Johnny Dawkins when I was talking about that. I remember that year so clearly when Louisville had a great team, too, and those two guys met up. I think this was 1982 when they both met up. Duke and Louisville met up in the NCAA basketball championship, and Louisville beat Duke. I would have never thunk it because, I mean, Louisville, they had a good team, but their best player was never nervous Purvis Ellison.
That's right.
And Purvis was a friend of mine. I reffed him in basketball when he was in JV, folks. And you talk about looking weird. When I saw him in JV, he had all legs, but it stopped at about 6 foot, okay? But his pants, I mean, he really did. He looked ugly duckling. And he had braces on and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, he played for Savannah High School. I'll never forget it. And it's funny, my assignments for the next couple of years, I didn't have Savannah High on my schedules. I was working games everywhere, but not at Savannah High. So it was the third year I was called in to do one of those. I was assigned to one of their games. It was a big game. The place was packed. And I saw Purvis again, and I went, are you kidding me? I mean, he jumped up to 6'9", and where his legs were, his body did his stuff at the waist and went straight on up. So he still had the long legs, but now the torso matched. You know what I mean? It's like it looked like he was all legs and no top. Yeah. Well, all that matured, and he looked. So so I had that game that night, and I'm watching. And Purvis is a good player. I played a pickup basketball with him in the park on the weekends. He'd show up with his, and we had ours, and you know we all just shot around. And you make it, you stay. You know the drill, guys. You get your best three, and you go out there, and there are other courts open. You can play on those for practice more than anything, and you got pickup games. But it was one game that was the Queen Bee game. I mean, that was all that was important. So you get your best three every weekend, Saturday and Sunday afternoons, and we would play until the sun went down. But if you won your game, you took on the challengers who came next. Mm-hmm. It's a long waiting list, so if you don't want to lose, or you'll be back, all right, I got downs after these 4 teams in front of me kind of thing, and in the meantime, we'll go over there, shoot around and play and stay loose, but that's the way it was, and I'm sure it's the same thing here in Memphis. So, anyway, I was just talking about it. That's where I saw him play, too, on the courts. But I look at the stadium, and I see these guys that I recognize on television. And as you know, we didn't have the proliferation of TV like we do today. You certainly didn't have a 24/7 sports station. Now we got 3 or 4 of those that's on all the time trying to compete with ESPN. You got the Fox, and you got everything else, Fox Sports. So you don't get to see these guys that often, but I must have seen these guys on the game of the week because I recognize Bobby Crimmins. He was in the stadium. Bobby Knight was in the stadium. I think Lou Henson. Of course, Denny Crum. Heck, I would have been surprised if Bertie Sales wasn't there, scouting this guy. Everybody's trying to get him, right?
Very easily could have been.
But what he was to me, he's like watching your children grow. You don't know it, but everybody else comes in and says, I can't believe how big your child has gotten. And you go, oh, you really? Well, I've been with him every day, so I don't notice that growth. And you don't. So I did notice that Purvis had jumped up because I hadn't had him for a couple of years on basketball assignments. But when I saw him start, everybody said, well, why are they here? Well, they're here to see Purvis. Purvis, he's just a good old buddy. He did everything, folks, so methodically. Bill Russell loved him. He picked him first in the draft out west with the Kings, I think. And he ended up, he swats the ball away. His timing is impeccable. He doesn't foul out. He takes smart shots, and he's just one of those, man, you can depend on him kind of players. And everybody liked him. And everybody knows it. I mean, if you look him up on Wikipedia or something, you'll see what I'm talking about. But he actually single-handedly beat Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amaker. I can't remember who the big center was. It could have been, I'm thinking that it might have been the kid, Danny Ferry, good player. His dad was a general manager of the Boston basketball, the Wizards. The Washington Wizards. But they were called the Bullets back then or something. They had like three names. The Capitals, the Bullets, and now the Wizards. So, let's see. But anyway, it was just fun to see someone so good, so methodical, and that's why he got the title Never Nervous Purvis.
Mm-hmm.
So he was
nuts. I remember watching him at Louisville whenever they would play Memphis. I mean, they had some.
That was a heck of a rivalry.
In the Pyramid.
Right.
Man, I'll never forget those. That was before.
Well, but yeah, Purvis was gone at that time. By that time, but I will say that Coach Bertie Sales remembers. Remember, we used to talk about it on our show years ago, and he remembered all this, and really a lot of the nuances and things that went on down below the surface that was so interesting to listen to him talk about that we don't know this. Of course, he was coaching with the Tigers at the time along, Gene Bartow. So, but Johnny Dawkins was a really, really good basketball player. They didn't miss the ball. The fundamentals were great. But that was so much fun. The reason you didn't hear much out of Purvis Ellison is he was moving someone, helping them move. I understand they had this really expensive, heavy mahogany furniture that early Victorian or something, and it has those big marble pieces that sit on the coffee tables and stuff. So you have to take those off, right?
Yeah.
One slipped and hit him on the toe, and he was never right.
Oh,
after that,
man.
Yeah, they tried to correct it and all. Just big guys. Ask Bill Walton. Once your feet are gone, your puppies are gone. There's nothing much you can do.
So that's why he
was playing for the Celtics at the time.
Trying to be, like a good Samaritan.
Oh yeah, he was a good guy. Yeah, everything about him, good man.
And a freak little accident like that.
That's right.
Wow, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, you think you can go in there and get it corrected, but not when you put those PSIs every time you take a step with these guys who are 6'10", and they can't, and they moving and running and all. It's not going to heal. It's certainly not going to heal in time. That's why LeBron James is so blessed. He's never been injured. He's such a great athlete. He takes care of himself.
He's been fortunate.
Exactly. As much as in how hard he plays. Are you kidding? Like him or loathe him, it doesn't matter because you got to give him his props. The guy does what he needs to do.
That's right. To
stay in shape. And you look at him, you don't think, no, but man, he stays in there and he's in there for the entire game, playing at the same RPMs. Mm-hmm. I mean, just, racking it up. So you got to go with him on that. That's for sure. All right, gang, it's the bottom of the hour. We come back, we're going to touch more on the NCAA Division I men's basketball championship bracket. So we look forward to you coming back with us. In the meantime, let me tell you, as the music kind of talks below us, I like to mention who our sponsors are. You know who they are, but I think redundancy is the most important thing when it comes to things like this, because when you need something from one of our sponsors, we want you to go by, please, and take advantage of it. Will you do that? Because, keep the local money in here. We have Jimmy McElroy for service. We have the Chick-fil-A organization. Germantown, my good friend Justin Wagner, who owns Germantown Hardware Store and Paint, and the Germantown Car Wash, and he also owns Memphis Paints, which is a subsidiary, so you can go and get as much of the painting things that you need for you good painters out there. Over there on Mendenhall, just right across from this Half Shell restaurant, right in that little area where we have a few bays of business. He has where you don't have to go all the way out east to go to his store to get it. You can also just stop by Memphis Paints and pick up what you need. You're right in the center of Memphis in that situation. It's good for you. We got the Burger Joint. We also have Five Ash Roofing Services, and you know how I feel about Troy Five Ash. He and his staff over there are just tremendous. And then we've got building materials on Jackson. We have Functional Independence Home Care. We also have my good friend. I just saw Mark this afternoon. He's a Sleep Cheap, and they still got that closeout sale going on, where you can start off by getting the queen size set starting as low as $199, and they have the king size starting as low as $350. So get by and visit 3 locations. You got one right there on Winchester, 6330 Winchester, over in West Memphis at 1701 Missouri Street. Or if you're out in North Mississippi, did I say North Mississippi? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's north. Yeah, you got 1069 Goodman Road. Everything runs off Goodman Road, obviously. But if you come off the expressway, hang a right, you will find they're just down the road a little piece there at Horn Lake at 1069. Go by and visit Cheap Sleep. Did I say Cheap Sleep, or I meant to say Sleep Cheap?
Sleep Cheap.
Either way, you're going to get a great night's rest at a very appropriate price. Okay? All right, y'all hang in there. Let's take a break, why don't we? And when we come back, we'll continue to talk about, like I said, the men's championship basketball bracket. We'll be back after the sports call. Time out. Coming back forever. She pulls away. I love my little girl. Though bankruptcy might be your last resort, it can help you make a fresh start and move forward with your life. The attorneys at McElroy Associates help giants in Tennessee and Mississippi recover from financial troubles, prevent foreclosures, and stop those horrible repossessions and those horrible phone calls. Oh, my word. Call them right now at 888-871-3678. Or you can complete a form online. It'll only take a moment because the first consultation is free. And it's www.jmcElroy.com. Get in touch with Jimmy today and his staff. He has 2 locations right here in Memphis, one on South Mendenhall and the other one downtown on Jefferson Avenue. Give him a call. I'm telling you, he says it and it's true. Bad things happen to good people, but you know what? He can put the toothpaste back in the tube for you. He can work miracles. He has a record that is above reproach. Give Jimmy McElroy and his staff a call today. That number again is 888-871-3678. Jimmy McElroy Attorneys.
How you doing, David?
Good. Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. If you're in need of a roof, there's no better place to start than Five Ash Roofing. No matter what your situation is, we have you covered. We can walk you through the insurance process without committing fraud like many of my competitors. You'd be surprised how many times salesmen and contractors will manufacture storm damage just so they can get a sale. We do residential, multifamily, and commercial work. We're certified in every form of roofing we offer. Our labor warranties are for the life of the shingle, and we don't charge extra for that. To my knowledge, there's no other roofing company in Memphis offering that level of security. And if that's not enough, we offer a best price guarantee. We're the official roofer of the University of Memphis and a proud member of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing. It's what we do. We're here for you.
One of the hallmarks of a great restaurant is the way you end your meal. After you've enjoyed your appetizers, salad, and entrees, when it's time for dessert, that's when a truly special restaurant really shines. And 117 Prime in the heart of downtown is no exception. Everything is made in-house with your happiness in mind. Try the fresh lime tart, the citrus vanilla cheesecake, or the classic tiramisu. Save room for the chocolate souffle or a seasonal sorbet. And don't forget the dessert cocktails like the chocolate martini. A great restaurant has a great finish, and there's no greater restaurant in Memphis than 117 Prime.
Germantown Hardware is located at the heart of Germantown at the corner of Germantown
Where's
Road.
my music cabinet at?
They offer a wide variety of services to meet your every need. They have the Lawn and Garden Center. They have small engine repairs, custom computer paint match center. They also have the custom lock services, screen and glass repair, lamp repair, and other household repairs. In a word, they're a real hardware store. Now, they offer major brands like the Yeti cooler. Any better than that? They also have Benjamin Moore paints. They have Steel, Echo, Weber grills. They just got everything all the way to the Honda engines. You got to go by and visit a real hardware store, and that is the Germantown Hardware Store and Paint. Like I said, located in Germantown at the Germantown Road and Poplar Crossing.
Hi, I'm Evander Holyfield. When I'm in
Ready?
Memphis, I listen to Sports Call.
We got Vincent on hold. I didn't hear you. Vincent's on hold. Okay, thank you.
All right, we're going to celebrate, folks. We are rocking and rolling here on a sports call where you don't have to play a sport.
To be a sport.
That's right, and our number is 452-3094. Okay, we do not start the second portion of our show brought to you by all the clients I just mentioned earlier because we have Vincent on the line, and without Vincent, the show just doesn't go on.
How you guys doing?
Thank you. We're doing great. What a gorgeous day here in the Mid-South.
Yeah, it is a great day.
Yeah.
I'm thankful to be alive and
Yeah,
well. I want to talk about something.
sure.
I want to talk about that foul call on Taco Falls between Duke and UCF.
Yeah, let's do it.
Vincent, it's Duke. You gotta remember, this is Duke.
No, don't put bad thoughts in his mind now. Let's all start from straight.
Well, let me say this.
Could be Duke.
That was not a foul.
No, it wasn't. I saw that. No.
That foul was initiated by Zion Wilson going into him, which is the only way he was going to either get some free throws. Taco had blocked about 3 or 4 of his shots earlier.
Right.
And it took Taco out of the game. It also prevented them from being in a better position to get that offensive rebound to win the game.
I agree.
And to me, I'm really tired of seeing calls like that against the lower tier teams like the non-power 5 schools.
You're right. I mean, you're preaching to the choir, especially those. That was the AAC. You know, I wanted them to be in there anyway. Go ahead.
I wonder how long are we as American citizens going to just stand by and just watch this type of stuff happen year in and year out?
Okay, let me give you another. Let me give you another example. It's not the same thing. It's not sports, but it's like this guy who got off all those charges, this Smollett. I mean, that's the problem we're dealing with today. They do it and then look you in the eye with such arrogance. They don't have, they don't have a conscience. They don't care. You take it or leave it. What are you going to do about it? And that's the same thing that's filtered into everything in American culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sign of the times, to say the least. But I want to commend UCF, considering Memphis beat them by 20 points twice.
Yeah, I know.
And the fact that they went toe-to-toe with Duke, what does that say?
That means
about the difference between the AAC and the ACC.
Right. That's exactly right. That's what I got out of it. That's what I got out of it was the fact that we put an overtime whooping on the Golden Knights. And so that means that we could have been in that tournament and been just as competitive, and who knows. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Basketball is about matchups.
Yeah.
And if you get the right team with the wrong matchup, it kind of neutralizes your strength. I think what it was, Duke's strength is Zion Williamson overpowering everybody. But the one guy in college basketball that you can't overpower is Taco Fall.
That's right. And nobody can.
And so basically, Memphis was fortunate to get tackle, foul, and foul trouble early.
Right.
In both of those games, and we had a much quicker team.
Right.
Than they did. And then also, Aubrey Dawkins, man, he went off.
Finally.
He looked like all world in that game against Memphis. He looked like a mediocre player, but against Duke, I guess he was fired up because his dad used to coach there and
played there.
Maybe he was upset with Krzyzewski for not recruiting him.
Whatever the reason, it sure they lit him up. Lit him up.
I would say this now, Johnny Dawkins, if there's one guy that knew how to coach against Krzyzewski, it was him.
Yeah.
Because he had the perfect defensive strategy. And it's also given other people some sort of insight of how to play to.
Yeah, you know, they know this and they should, but like 5 out of 19 are the only understudies for Coach K that have beaten him in any given game. That's not saying much for, you know, the mentor is still the king. Long live the king.
Yeah, well, again, my hats off to you. See how they represented America after the college.
I agree.
I'm hoping Houston does well. I mean, they're looking pretty good right now.
Yep.
Houston is I won't say they're a Final Four team. But again, you know, when I think about it, Memphis played Houston just as competitive as anybody else.
Exactly.
And the reality is, I think Memphis was an NCAA caliber team. They just didn't win enough games early.
Right. That's it. You're exactly right. And we touched on this, Vincent. You remember we said this. If Jeremiah Martin had been in there early like it was late, we wouldn't have lost some of those earlier games. We would have been in this tournament.
Well, I fought Peter Holloway for that. You know why? Because he was trying to cater to Alex Lomax and Tyler Harris.
Well, of course he was. Of course he was. We knew that.
But you know what? I'm not. This is not a negative criticism, because he's brought way more positive than negative. But I think the ball should have been in Jeremiah's hands from the beginning.
I agree, and everybody agreed with you on that. And it has nothing to do with personalities.
It should have taken till February to figure that out. You know, I mean, if you go back and look at it, you can see. I'm gonna tell you the game that I really realized that it was not going to work. And I think Penny did too. So when we played Houston that first time. And they let us up, they let our guards up. They couldn't even get the ball across the court or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, I felt that if he had put him in
that position, right?
I think that would have made a big difference. I think it would even help Tyler and Alex to have an opportunity to settle in a little bit more.
I concur.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean that's water under the bridge at this point. But I just get tired of seeing Duke and all those teams get props with. You know, off of referees calling stuff. I mean, that guy was truly vertical, and he didn't
even hit him with his hands. His fingers didn't come over. You know, in a horizontal position, he was vertical all the way, fingertips and all. I didn't see a foul at all.
You know what else I don't like about it? With all of the reviews that they can review.
Yeah.
To review if a ball got tipped out of bounds, or if a person hooked somebody, or if it was a goaltender, all that stuff that happens at the last minute.
Right.
Why can't they review if a foul really occurred or not?
Well, I think they do, don't they, when it's a flagrant? But not a judgment call. Once that's made, that's a non-correctable error.
That keeps the ability to cheat alive. You know, think about it.
Well, yeah, but I don't. There's a lot more.
No, we're gonna call this what it is. When you say judgment call, you cannot tell me that these referees don't go up with favorite teams. You can't tell me.
I know that. Who's the one who was?
If a judgment call can't be, if you just blatantly miss a judgment call and it cannot be anything done about it, the coaches can't even say anything about it without getting fined and all that. That puts the power in the referee's hand.
Well, they've already got the power. They know that.
I mean, you know, but by the same token, if a referee calls the ball out of bounds and let's go look. Let's see if that really happened or not. That's a judgment call whether or not the ball went off his hands or not. So
well, no, that's not true. That's not true. I've seen it because I've seen other. Hold on. You can't. Excuse me. I didn't mean that in a negative way. What I'm trying to say is, you see these officials go to the other official, the outside official will come in and say, "Listen, that ball didn't go off his hand; it went off this guy's hand." And 9 out of 10 times, the man who made the call will acquiesce to the other official because he might have seen it better, and they won't.
I'm talking about when they go to the monitor to see.
Oh, they should have never They should have never put that in.
at the time that they actually go to the monitor, right before that, they made a judgment call as to whether or not they thought the ball went off of one guy's hand or another. That's a judgment call because it's based upon what you thought you saw. Well, how much difference is that than a judgment call on a foul?
Well, I don't know. You pick your poison, I guess. But if you start going to the monitor, if you start going to the monitor on every call, that waters down the game and the what's the word I'm looking for?
Like those critical things that happen within the last 30 seconds. I'm not saying the whole game. I'm talking about, because you really don't analyze the last. You don't analyze the tip ball out of bounds and all that stuff until the last minute or under 30 seconds, whatever it is. Shane, what you think about that? Don't you think that all of those judgment calls? What you think, Shane?
Well, I kind of agree with both of you in a way. I mean, with Bills, it does water down the game and extend them. And then, if a team is on a run, then, that timeout or whatever, they're sitting over on the sidelines. And it just takes away the momentum whenever they, every 35 seconds.
I'm not saying I'm talking about, let's say in the last 30 seconds or the last 15 seconds of a game, if a critical call, which is going to make a difference,
I think that should be reviewed.
I'm saying like this, with goaltending, there was some game, I can't remember where it was, where it was determined that it was not goaltending, and it really was goaltending. It was some upstart team that almost beat a top-ranked team. It was either last year or year before, and they didn't call the goaltend, and the lesser team lost because they didn't call the goaltend. And I'm thinking they went to the monitor review, and even the announcer said, well, that looked like goaltending to me, and it didn't happen. I'm saying that judgment thing, it can make or break you. And
you're right. That happened. That happened this past weekend. You remember when the ball? To me, it did not hit the rim. It hit the bottom of the backboard, and they used every angle they could possibly use. And I'm going to tell you right now, that ball to this day never touched the rim. So the clock, the time ran out on that possession. See, and yet they gave it. They went against what I saw, and I knew good and well, and everybody else. Of course, a lot of us we're biased. We're going to look for every opportunity. I didn't really care in this contest, but the ball went in behind the cylinder, but did not hit the cylinder at all. And actually, when I saw the ball come carom off the back of the backboard, there at the bottom of the backboard, that was the only time it changed the rotation of the ball.
Okay,
not before that.
Last point. If they can take all that time to analyze that, why can't they take 5 or 6 seconds to analyze whether or not Taco Fall fouls?
Because that is a personal judgment call, and that would be egg on the face of the official. They're not going to make it. If you do that, you got to change everything.
No. I'm saying in the last 10 seconds where it's a 1-point game and the final process could actually determine the outcome. I'm not talking about 5 minutes left. I'm saying the last 10, let's just for instance, there's 4 seconds to go and the team get ready to take the ball out of bounds. They're down by 1, and they drive the paint, and a guy stands up vertical to try to do, and they call a charge or a non-charge. They should be able to go to the monitor and determine if that actually was a charge or not. It should not be where a team just loses out and their season just
I know what you're saying, but it's not going to change. All you're trying to do is give everybody a trophy kind of syndrome, and that's not the way it's going to work. They still got a job to do, and if they miss it, early in the game, if that happened, nobody say anything, right?
Well, if you're going to say that,
so why would you do that at the end of the game? I mean, why would you call it differently at the end of the game just because time's running out?
No, I'm saying this: if you're not going to change that, then you don't need to change anything. You just need to let whatever he called be whatever he
That's
called.
Right. That's what it's supposed to be. Should be.
It's on every major call anyway. The tip ball out of bounds, goaltending, whether it was a hook, somebody hooked somebody or what somebody played. All of it is judgment. So why let one judgment call stand and the rest of them you can question within the last minute of the game? That's all I'm saying.
Well, they're really looking for flagrant or not, that kind of thing.
You know what I think they should do? Something similar to the NFL. Give each coach
a red flag.
Give them one challenge per half, and if they win that challenge, they win it. If they lose it, they lose a timeout.
You know what? I like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense.
I like
I
that.
can go along with that. I think that's
and hold on to that sucker until you really need it. You better believe in when you throw that flag out on the field.
That's the way to, I think.
I like that idea too. Well said.
That's a perfect. That's a good man. Shane, you're a bright guy, man. I tell you, I know
He is. And it's like in tennis. You know, they have 3 challenges per set. Now, if you're right on the challenge, that who called the challenge, he doesn't lose. But you know, just like in football, they keep that. They still have it. But if they lose it, they lose that challenge, and they lose the opportunity to call the next one. You know, or you run out of challenges.
Okay, man. Listen, I've talked long enough.
Thank you.
Y'all get my point, and you know, Duke keeps scoring. So I mean, it is what it is.
That was a good game. But yeah, you're right. There was no foul there either. I agree with you. So there's got to be something.
And that definitely changed the outcome of that game, because had he not fouled, that would have been a missed shot. Duke would have been behind. They would have lost.
And not only that, had they even gone in to the overtime, he'd have been in for that. He was out for the regular time.
And even if Zion Wilson had hit the shot, it would have just been a tie game at that point.
Right. So
it hurts Central Florida 3 different ways, and I think that's just wrong. I mean, that's just blatantly wrong. I mean,
his brother was one of the officials against us in the championship game last year, and one in this year too. So he was just paying him back and getting, making up for the bad calls they made of football against the Tigers. All right, I made that up. Anyway, so looking for some sort of rationale. All right,
Vince. That's kind of true for me.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, you too. Thank you, Vincent. Yeah, well, and he's right. But you know what rears its ugly head, Shane, is that it always seems to happen when it's critical at that moment. But you know what got them there? The consistency of calling the game the same throughout the whole game. They worked themselves into that situation. Please don't ask for help to get out of it. You know, just continue officiating like you've been officiating. I was always taught to do that. You know, never change.
Yeah, I mean, like, most of the really, like, challenging type plays, they usually happen within that last 4 minutes of the game.
Oh, yeah, it's down to cases now. People press a little bit and things get done. I mean, I haven't seen a charge block. I haven't seen coaches ever, or officials ever, change that call. And they may be wrong, but they're not going to change it.
Yeah, I don't think they should be able to challenge calls like that.
You can challenge out of bounds. You can challenge it.
Yeah, foot on the line or something like that.
They can do all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to...
I've seen several players driving the baseline, and they've stepped on the line and didn't call it. You know, but I mean...
You must have a bigger television screen than I do.
Well, it's a nice size.
Certainly it is. But my point is, they look for the little things to call because they want to be noticed.
Yeah.
They blow that whistle and they come out and they throw that hand down.
Look at me.
Yeah, I stopped this, you know. At least half the people love me here.
Look at my power.
That's right. That's right. I remember I was coaching this, I was reffing this big game, tournament game, and one of my calls went against went against the home team. And the home team was like undefeated. It was over, and this other team was the best, but it was coming in from out of town. And as I was walking to the table, or during the timeout, I was standing by the scores table, and the coach comes over to me, and the coach that I called the foul for, not against, goes, "Man, that took some, you know what, to make that call." And I said, "Yeah, but that was the right call." He said, "You know, it was, but man, I mean, if you didn't call it, or if you called it the other way, nobody would have said anything." But I said, "Y'all been playing so hard here. I try to keep everything between the lines. It's not done all the time. It's not. But I try, because these guys, they have a right to win just as much as the other team. I don't care what,
right.
The situation is. But anyway, that's how we get it. All right, so let's talk about the East here a minute. Let's go over here and look at our brackets, everybody. And as you know, the last contest, it was Duke over UCF. We talked about that. And now the Final Four is going to be in Washington, D.C. in the East. is it the Final Four? No, I mean just the Sweet 16 and I guess the Elite 8. But anyway, LSU, they're going to play Virginia Tech. Now, what do you think about that contest? Virginia Tech's pretty good. Yeah. Because I think when Virginia Tech beat them this year in the regular season, it was Williamson-less. He wasn't in the contest. All right, LSU is going to play Michigan. Man, that should be a good game. That should match up so well.
I like LSU.
Yeah, I don't. I think I'm gonna go with, and they're only 2 and 3 of the numbers, so I mean just 1 digit apart. But for some reason, I'm going to throw in the Bill Wade situation. All that's been going on. They may have calmed down, but Michigan and their coach is just—he's one of those good coaches. Been there a long time. For some reason, I think Michigan is going to pull that contest out.
Michigan State.
No, it's Michigan, isn't it?
No.
Wait a minute, let me look
Michigan
at this.
plays Texas Tech down in
That's
the
right.
West.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think Texas Tech will lose that contest to Michigan. All right, let's go back to this. Yeah, LSU. You know, I'm agreeing with you there. I mean, I know Tom Izzo does a great job in the tournament, and he's a good coach. But I think they're getting by the skin of their teeth, really.
I just think the speed over the big men in the Big Ten. So I like the SEC speed, man. There may be 3 SEC teams in the Elite 8.
Yeah, see, so and Michigan. See, Minnesota's never been a huge powerhouse, so that doesn't surprise me that Michigan State won that game handily. So, yeah, I think they're going to come back and got to really play basketball against the LSU Tigers. Okay, let's drop down to the West. We've got Gonzaga against Florida State. There's another great contest. See, Florida State reminds me, as far as the way the players look and the way they run and play and all, remind me of the LSU Tigers.
Isn't this like a rematch of the last year?
I think so. I think I've heard something, but I don't know that for certain.
Yeah, I think it is.
But Gonzaga, you know, I mean, Baylor was hanging on to it for a while there, and then they took off. But this is going to be a very interesting game. Who do you have in that? You still got?
I like Florida State.
You like Florida State? I'm going to go with Gonzaga just because Gonzaga still has the experience. They also have a good team. They're going to shut down their big guy. I can't remember his name right now, but then what else is new? All right, Texas Tech and Michigan. That was the one we were talking about. I got Michigan over Texas Tech in that contest.
I like Tech.
And that's fine. That's fine, because they're worthy of being recognized for sure. All right, it's the top of the hour, folks. We'll come back. We'll jump on the South and the Midwest and the rest of the, the polls here in the bracket. So why don't we go ahead and take a top of the hour break, and then we'll be back in a moment here on Sports Call.
Well, these Highway 40 blues, I've walked holding both my shoes. Counted the days since I've been gone, and I'd love to see the lights of home.
Spring might officially begin in March, but we all know we still have plenty of cold days ahead of us, and there's no better cure for the late winter blues than the amazing food at Sunrise on Jefferson. Warm days or cold days, there's no better breakfast or lunch in Memphis than Sunrise. But when it's cold, and you know it's going to be, make a special trip to Sunrise for fast, fresh food made with loving care just for you. When you need something to make you feel warm and happy, make it breakfast or lunch at Memphis' cold weather haven. Make it Sunrise.
Have you been to Building Materials on Jackson for your home projects lately? They have the materials, service, and deep discounts every day. BMJ has finished oak picture frame cabinets and an unfinished maple and birch. Need countertops, kitchen cabinets, and doors? Go to Building Materials on Jackson. They have thousands of windows in stock, along with one-piece tub and shower units. With hardware, BMJ has been serving the Mid-South for 50 years. Why shop anywhere else? Save 10 to 50% every day. See Terry, Patrick, or Adam for great service and advice. Building Materials, 3820 Jackson Avenue. Call 901-388-4919.
Sleep Cheap has queen-size mattress starting at $99. That's right, only $99. Huge name brand Super Pillow top sets for $399. Regular price $599. Sleep Cheap will pay the sales tax on all purchases. Same-day delivery, no credit check. Sleep Cheap can get anyone approved. Get it today. Sleep on it tonight. Get to one of Sleep Cheap stores today. Goodman Road in Horn Lake, Winchester Road in Memphis, and in West Memphis at North Missouri Street.
Imagine you're craving the perfect Bloody Mary with just what you want in it and no danger of some bartender spraying some Clamato on you. That's what the Bloody Mary bar at Sunrise is all about. Every ingredient you could possibly want, from peppers to spices to special surprises. There's no way you can possibly get a better Bloody Mary just for you than the one you make for yourself. Come to Sunrise for the fantastic fresh fast food, but stay for a leisurely Bloody Mary of your own invention. Make it a Bloody Mary day. Make it Sunrise.
Petey, don't call me Petey. Petey.
You know, we've been doing commercials for Central Barbecue now for years.
It's true.
And you know why it always seems fresh?
Because Central Barbecue is a place we're genuinely proud to endorse.
Did you read my script?
No, I just know it's the truth. We're able to promote Central Barbecue for years on end because we both honestly believe Central Barbecue is the best barbecue in town.
In the world.
And it's easy to sell something when you really believe it's the best of its kind.
Wow, that was really kind of eloquent, Petey.
I'm not telling you again, don't call me Petey.
Hello, this is Penny Hardaway. When I'm home in Memphis, I listen to Sports Call with Bill Moore, where you don't have to play a sport to be a sport.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will.
Hey, now what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
I let you love what
Honey,
you came along
yeah, all the time. All right, back on Sports Call, having a good time here. We are your 730 KQPN and 1600 WMQ. Did I do it right?
That's right.
All right. So we're your sports authority right here in the Mid-South, folks. All right, moving right along here. I'm going to jump over to the other side of the bracket, and we're going to work our way down. All right, so we've got coming out, we've got Virginia going up against Oregon.
Yeah, this is held in Louisville.
This is in Louisville. That's right. So Louisville is going to host, and then down below they're going to be in Kansas City. Isn't that funny? In Kansas City. Make it. Okay, so what do you have there? I mean, I've got Virginia coming out of that one.
Yeah, me too. Oregon's had a great run. The 12 seeds made it. You know, I mean, they actually had a pretty easy time. You know, I mean, they have played the mighty Anteaters of UC Irvine.
Yeah.
So, you know, they now UC Irvine they shocked Kansas State. I mean, they shocked them pretty good. So Oregon's had a pretty, I would say, mediocre run through this thing, but they're fixing to hit a buzzsaw with Virginia.
That's funny. I don't see it in Virginia.
I mean, not full. I don't think it's.
What is it? It makes, because there's no one there really. It's just the way their fundamentals are so good. Smart students, these guys, you know. So, but if they're all everybody doing their thing, which is they got a good center there at VA, but I'm going with VA, of course, but and maybe because they've lasted so much longer going into the second week than they've ever done in the last two times when they were predicted to probably go to the Final Four each time. So anyway, I agree with you on that game. And then coming down here, let's talk about
Purdue and Tennessee, the number 3 versus the number 2 seed.
Right? Yeah, you've got Purdue and Tennessee. And there you go again, 2 and 3, Tennessee and Purdue, respectively. Who you got in that one there? Not out of the heart, but out of the head.
I think Tennessee can beat them pretty handily if they go in and play their game.
I'm going to be competitive and go with Purdue in that contest.
All right.
I don't want them to win, but sometimes you can always say, well, that's feel a little better. It's like
he calls me this morning and says, I'm cheering for Tennessee. And then he picks Purdue on the air.
I know it. No, I'll cheer for him, but I still think Purdue. This has nothing to do with me wanting them to win. It's who do you think's going to win the game?
I think Tennessee may have learned them a little bit of a lesson.
They should have. I agree. But they've never played well in the city of Louisville. They've never played there, have they? I'm just kidding. I don't know. I just threw that in. All right, let's drop on down. Let's look at North Carolina and Auburn. Oh, my goodness. Auburn is playing so good.
You know, Bill, I like Auburn in this game.
I like them, too. That's why I chose North Carolina. Man, if they can play. But there's something about, see, there's a completeness. We talked about that earlier in the show, about the completeness of North Carolina. It's not just super athletes out there. Actually, I don't think they have the athletes they've had in the past. But they're just smart in other parts of the game.
Auburn is going to live and die by the three.
Yeah.
You know, and that three's been working. So
man, it's been working. But see, these guys know how to defend, though. There you go. But anyway, that's what I'm gonna go with North Carolina. Boy, I love Auburn to win that thing, though. I really would. Okay, if you want to jump in and be a part of this, you can. You know, we'll go back and talk about some of the other games we've already called just to rehash in your favor. Our number's 452-3094. Okay, so and then you got Houston and Kentucky. There you go. That's a big game. That's a big choice.
You know, Bill, I like Houston, man.
I've got Houston too. If they can, PJ Washington shut him down, I believe we're going to be in business.
I don't think he's playing.
Well, that's all the more reason. But if Houston come out and play like we've seen them play, especially those two games against Cincinnati, that first one especially. The second one, they were hanging in there for a while, but then Cincinnati took them to win the ACC, the double AC tournament this past year. So, but anyway, I got Houston and Kevin Sampson rocking and rolling, making it to the Final Four. Okay. All right. So who do you have? All right. Let's go back to the other side. Coming out of the East, you got Duke versus I've got Mississippi, Michigan State. You said LSU. All right. So between Duke and LSU, who do you have coming out?
Duke.
I've got Duke also. They'll be.
No, this is the Elite Eight.
Well, where's the 4 come from then?
After the Duke LSU.
Well,
you got that's in the East.
Well, no, that's what I said. We're going to come to it. I mean, we're in the Final Four now. We've already chosen those.
No, we just chose the Sweet 16.
I know. So now I'm doing the Final Four.
No, you're doing the Elite Eight now.
I'm looking at 4 teams here. 4 teams. How can that be?
The East, you have Duke and LSU. In the West, I have Florida State and Texas Tech. And in the South, I have Tennessee and Virginia, and Auburn and Houston. That's 8 teams.
Yeah, but we just called those.
No, we just did the Sweet 16 over. Yeah, we just did Purdue versus Tennessee, North Carolina versus Auburn, Houston versus Kentucky.
Hold on, that's what you have. I have Duke and Michigan State playing in the Elite
8.
2, 3, 4. Right, in the Elite 8. We've already done those, didn't we? I've already done it. I said you chose LSU. I took Michigan State.
I took LSU over Michigan State.
Right. All right, so that puts Duke and Michigan State
in the Elite 8.
Right. I said we've done the Elite 8.
We just did the Sweet 16.
Oh, I know what I did. I wrote them down. That's what I did, and I'm reading ahead of myself.
Games, not 8
all right. Okay, so coming out of all right, so you have I have Duke and I thought we already chose these.
No.
I said Duke over Virginia Tech. I said Michigan State over LSU.
That's right. Now you got Michigan State and Duke. The winner of that goes to the Final Four.
Right. That's what I was talking about. We've already done these Sweet 16. These are the Elite Eight. We're in the Sweet. Huh?
We're in the Elite Eight now.
Where have you been? You're just behind me.
No.
Let me tell you what I've got. Okay, just hold your horses there a second, please. All right. So I got Duke and Michigan State in the Elite Eight. And the winner of those, I chose Duke. So Duke goes to the Final Four.
Okay.
Gonzaga, I have Gonzaga against Michigan. You have Gonzaga against Texas Tech, right?
I have Florida State versus Texas Tech.
Wait a minute, hold on just a second. You didn't have Gonzaga. You have Florida State coming out against Texas Tech. All right. So so you have who coming out in the Final Four then?
I have
who's going to win between those two teams? Both are opposite of what I have. I have Gonzaga and Michigan. So you got So you got Duke and Texas Tech playing on one side. All right, and we said that Virginia would win over Oregon. You have Tennessee over Purdue. I have North Carolina. You have Auburn. And I have Houston, and you have Houston. Okay. So coming out of there, who do you have? Virginia versus Tennessee.
I'm going to say Tennessee.
Of course you are, and I don't blame you. I got Virginia. Okay. So dropping on down to the last bracket here, North Carolina versus Houston. And you have Houston, right, against North Carolina?
I got, Houston versus, no, I have Houston and Auburn.
I meant to say Auburn, excuse me. That's right. Oh, that'd be a good game if that comes to fruition. All right,
I like Auburn.
All right, so and I got Houston coming out. I had against Auburn. I had North Carolina, and then I had Houston over Kentucky.
And now we pick our Final Four.
All right, who are they?
Okay, you got let's see, Duke and Texas Tech, and Tennessee and Houston.
All right.
Okay, so I'll take Duke to the national championship and Tennessee in the national championship.
So Duke over Gonzaga, Virginia against Houston. Wow. I'm gonna go with Houston, and I'm gonna go with Gonzaga. No, Duke. Excuse me. So in the finals, we got I got Duke and Houston against each other. You have Tennessee and Duke against each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there you have it.
And who do you think wins the championship?
Oh, there's always going to be that, right?
And your final score?
I have Duke winning it all. I hate seeing that up there every time. But I just think because of the coaching and because of I've been there before kind of mentality, I'm going to have 78 versus 74.
That's close to what mine is.
Yeah.
Very close. I've got in the shootout, I got Tennessee beating Duke. It's 82-76.
Okay. Well, that's going to be fun, folks. I will not be around to see it.
Oh, don't say that, Bill.
No, I won't, really. I'll be so drugged up. I'm going to, I was supposed to have knee surgery yesterday. And because I took a pill that I shouldn't have taken that morning with my medicine.
Gordo showed up in the operating room is what happened.
I ran. I got out of there. Let's see. So I'm going in early Friday morning. I'm going to get my my knee replaced. full replacement. I don't want to do this. But you got to do it. You got to make life better, quality of life better. Everybody I've talked to, most people, Shane says that it's the best thing they've ever done.
Yeah, you'll be running the 2-minute mile again before long.
Takes about 7 minutes to run it, though. And that's on a bicycle. Okay. So let's see if, it's the therapy I hate. They say it's going to hurt because you really got to treat it right, do as you're told, because if you don't, scar tissue will get in there, you'll block up, and there's nothing you can do after that.
Yeah.
That's why my wife says my right leg kind of moves a little more out to the right. She didn't used to walk that way, but I had back surgery, and I'm wondering whether I did my due diligence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel better. I don't need to come in today. No, you need to come in every day and get it done. Do as you're told. So I'll make sure that I'll do it. And then in a couple of months, I go get the other one done. But then that's predicated on whether I have how much. Oh, absolutely. It goes back to, we would have an overpopulated country if men had a baby first and then the woman and then the man has it. No, it stopped. The most you'll ever get is 2 kids per family.
We got Junior.
Let's talk to Junior. That'll be great. 452-3094. Junior, jump on in here.
How are you doing today?
Doing good today. I can't talk about next week, but today I'm doing good.
You don't sound good. You might feel good, you just don't sound good.
Right. Well, I'm not going to...
I hope everything turned out okay.
Thank you. I hope it turns out okay myself. I'm going to do as I'm told.
Yeah.
I was supposed to have done it yesterday. I'd have been a day into it. But what it's going to do is it'll probably have me so, because it's going to hurt, so I'm going to have to probably stay sedated, and I won't be able to watch my game, so I'll just have to read about it.
When are you going to have your surgery?
I'm sorry?
I said, when are you going to have the surgery?
I'm going to have it Friday morning. So,
oh, no.
Yeah, it's going to be a hurting weekend, but that's okay. Got to get it done.
Yeah, you got to have you 100%.
Well, let me tell you.
You got to give up one weekend. 2 years a weekend.
Right. Someone who had it told me that, it's about 3 weeks of pain. As a matter of fact, it was my pastor, John Sartell. He had both of his done, he said. He was a runner. And then he said he went and played some pickup basketball, and then his knees went down. So he had to have one done, and then 11 years later, I think he got the other one done, or a few years later. But, it's, he says, it's worth giving up the short time and all the therapy to be able to be, without pain. And those guys, these young studs, they don't know it yet. But I'm talking about when you wear your knees out. In other words, you just get rid of the cartilage between the bone, and bone rubbing on bone is about as painful as you can have. And that's you got to get that corrected. So,
well, wish you the best.
No, I appreciate it, Junior.
Thank
you, bud.
And doing that, you can watch James Wiseman tonight.
Yeah,
number 1 player in the country.
Yeah, where's he playing? Is it on TV or a high school championship?
He's on TV. The McDonald's All-American game.
Oh, okay. Oh, that'd be fun to watch.
And they got to talk about James Wiseman. Yeah, he's the number 1 player in the country.
Right.
We don't talk about him, but talk about Duke players, then we know about it.
Yeah.
I thought y'all was going to talk about the number 1 player. And
are you saying they don't appreciate Memphis Tigers enough to?
No, they don't.
I'd agree with you.
And I'm telling you what, if DJ Jeffrey would have went to Kentucky, you think he would have been a McDonald's All-American?
Oh,
I got some man to tell you he would have been a McDonald's All-American.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Memphis? Ain't happened.
Isn't that crazy?
But he's good enough to be in a Jordan Classic, but not good enough to be in a McDonald's. I smell all right.
I didn't know that. So where'd you get this information?
No, it was about a month ago that DJ Jeffrey made the Jordan Classic. Michael Jordan Classic. They have every year.
Yeah.
For the top 25 players, but not good enough for McDonald's.
Yeah, you're right. There's something wrong with that picture.
If I'm DJ Jeffrey, I never McDonald's sandwich again.
Absolutely. I can't.
What do you think the best game of the tournament going to be in this round?
Wow, good question. That's a good question. Let me see. I'm going to go with, you talk about...
just one game. If you just watch just one game.
If I can watch just one game... Wow, that's going to be a good game. I'm gonna go with Gonzaga and Duke.
I'm talking about for one game. Gonzaga plays Florida State. I'm talking about one game.
Well, it is one game.
No, Gonzaga plays.
Oh yeah, that's right. I went through the whole. Okay, let's stop again. All right, so this weekend you've got. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not interested in Duke and Michigan. I think I gotta agree with you. And you know what? The Houston-Kentucky game is a very interesting game to me.
That's the game I wanted.
Yeah, me too.
I can tell you go win the game. Tell me if P.J. Washington helped in the 100%.
I heard he wasn't.
I didn't even know.
No, I mean Shane just said he wasn't.
If he's not 100%, then they ain't winning.
No, they're
because
not.
P.J. Washington, Houston likes to beat you up.
Yeah.
And P.J. Washington can beat you up, and he's better player than all players.
Right. He had a boot on during the second round, so yeah, he was on crutches and a boot. No, he had one of those scooters.
That's right. I remember seeing now. They showed him. He got around with this.
And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. They just called it a foot sprain. But
you know what? If I saw the quarterback for Alabama got here in 7 days, you get here too.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I agree. I think the North Carolina Auburn game is going to be fun.
I don't think so. I think
I'm saying is
route though.
Yeah, I guess I'm just hoping
I'm hoping they're going to help you out. North Carolina too big, too tall. You can't teach height. And then you got good players in Auburn.
Yeah, they probably want to shoot their threes.
I'm going to jump shots up, and they're not going to go in like it did Gleason and instead of time gets Clemson and lose by 30. That's what's going to happen.
You might be right. I mean, Junior, you could be. I know that's the thing, though. That game hasn't been played yet, Shane. That's the problem.
Yeah. And then Auburn like to play fair, but what do you think North Carolina do? They play fair too, and they got better talent playing fair.
Yeah.
You can't play fair with a team that play fair, and they got better talent. Bad matchup for Auburn. Horrible matchup. Just like last week, I told everybody the worst matchup in the second round was Florida State and Murray State. I said bad matchup for Murray State because Florida State got athletes that could run.
Sure, just like
that's a problem.
Right, but at a higher level, a higher tier.
And only Junior Rhett is the only one that could play with
them. That's right. Yeah,
that was the easiest game to pick in the whole tournament. I told people at work that's gonna be a wrap.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody said no, I said nope. Wrong bad matchup.
And I think Florida State's going to do the same thing to Gonzaga.
I don't think so because Gonzaga lost to them last year, and you got Gonzaga full of teams. And also that player not hurt this year either. We didn't play in that game.
Yeah.
The only advantage Gonzaga's got in this game is they're playing in Anaheim, California.
And I think they got better bench coach.
They sure do. Mark Few's quite a
And I'm not saying Leonard Hamilton not a good coach. I just think
I understand. It makes sense.
I think that he will win that game. But first they got some athletes though.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, if they got a little basketball in them at the same time, that'll make up for a lot of oversights, I believe. Just their athleticism.
First they can shoot with a lip.
I have to take it to the hole, baby.
I think Oregon, the number 12 seed, could give Virginia a scare. I really
know. No, they won't be able to score. That's going to be that part.
Well, listen, what do you think? Why is Gonzaga so good? There's not one player on that team that really stands out.
Hey, you know, Gonzaga get pros on their team now.
They do?
They have pros that's in it.
Oh, yeah, they work with them and stuff.
Yeah, that's the difference. They have pros. Last year they had good players.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Now they got pros. The pros are going to go play for now. But let me say something about that Central Florida and Duke game. Man, I stepped off to Central Florida. Man, my heart stepped off.
I know it.
Bro.
That's what Vincent was talking about. There was no foul there. I just don't. He stayed vertical. His fingers didn't even tip over in a horizontal motion. But they called it because they anticipated the bang that White Williamson was going to do to him, and he didn't move. He has as much right for that space, and yet usually that they always give the offensive guy who makes the initial contact, right, and they give it to him when the guy has as much right for that spot.
The question was there a charge on B.J. Keller when he's spinning the lane and he gets right, but you can't make that call. You just can't. But I'm gonna say that no, since the Florida gave the game away, and as I said, I don't think that cost this game. You didn't box out.
Yeah.
Dane Wilson missed a 3-pointer, get the rebound. Right. He didn't get the rebound. Dane Wilson got a basket, and guess what? He missed the free throw. Yeah. That's what you got to do. Get the rebound. Guess what everybody going to say? Dane Wilson choking the free throw line when the pressure, but he didn't get the rebound.
Right.
And the last shot, B.J. Taylor had great luck. That I would let him take that shot every time. Sometimes my dad, I said, I'm about to get go. And let him go one-on-one.
I got you.
And B.J. Taylor, he did a move. He got the break shot. He just been going. And how can he miss that tip in?
I know. Oh, my goodness. They had so much. Oh, my goodness. It dusted all, that ball knocked all the dust off that rim. It hit everywhere that went in.
Because that's Duke. And
that's Duke, huh?
That's Duke. The ball said, nope. We're going to let Duke play on. Anybody else, that would have went in. And it looked like he was going in. Everybody just watched so much. Everybody just watched. Pretty much just watch.
Well, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can't get up over the rim. You got to let it play out.
We'll never be done by 20-something points.
I know it.
It's all about matchups. That's all. Baseball is about matchups.
Yeah.
Memphis don't match up with Cincinnati, and Central Florida don't match up. Baseball is just about matchups.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, you don't think it'll break down to that, but you're right. You're right.
And no, Duke is better. But they don't. It's not about match. And Paul, that trade that guy from Duke, who missed those 3-pointers. Man, since the floor will run away from him. Man, when you shoot a 3-pointer, they let him wide open, just ran and far away that kid. You know what that remind me of? Aaron Lowe makes his jump shot. He runs far away from him.
He's got some work to do.
Yeah, when I guarantee he's gonna hit more than 2-3 points in this game. So guess what he's gonna do?
Yeah.
And he's going to do it. They're going to back off from him. So he's going to work on that 3-point jump shot.
Right now, he likes all those good assists, that he's getting, and that's good. We need somebody like that too. Looking for the open shot, looking for the high percentage shot. All right.
But you got to score. If you can't score, guess what? You're not going to be defending. You can double team.
That's right.
And they were doing Taco Fall. Taco Fall was on the point guard.
Yeah.
And what he was doing, just clogging up the lane. Anybody try to drive, Taco Fall was there.
That's right.
Wins to play good. No, when Taco Fall was in the game, I guarantee Florida outscored him about 14 points.
Yeah.
Duke only made runs when he was out the game. Like at the end of the first
That's right.
When he got too fast, they made a run. When he got him his fourth foul early, they made a run.
Right.
That's why they made a run.
I got you.
They got big.
Yeah. He is big. He's up there. He's smart, too. All right, well, listen, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Keep me in your prayers, Junior. All right, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so that was Junior, one of our consistent callers since Jump Street. He knows his sports now, I have to tell you that. So, gang, thank you for being with us this afternoon. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be with us, and for that we appreciate it. Right, Shane?
That's right.
Right, Georgia? She's nodding her head. Okay. So listen, we'll be back tomorrow, Terrific Thursdays, with Gordon. I'll be taking over. So Gordon will be here as my co-host, and we'll have Matt Dean. We'll have Rob, and we'll have Yancey. We'll have everybody here tomorrow. And let's see, is there anything else? I want to thank our sponsors, you guys who called in, all you guys out there listening. Thank you for being a part of Sports Call, where you don't have to play a sport
to be a sport.